Hello, my name is Brian Harper, and I'm an Associate Professor of Fine Art and Ceramics Area Head at Indiana University Southeast. I've been teaching at the university level for about 15 years, and about 10 years ago, I started a resident artist position in the ceramics program at IU Southeast. This program has given me the opportunity to work with some amazing artists and educators and has had such a big impact on myself as well as the ceramics program at IU Southeast that I'm happy to share those experiences here. So during this talk, I'll expand on how and why I started this position, what impacts it has had, and how you can start one at your own university. As I got into ceramics a long time ago, I knew pretty early that I wanted to be an educator, and even from the very beginning, I envisioned myself teaching in a one person program, which IUS was until I started the resident artist position. I was looking forward to making the decisions on my own and taking the program exactly where I wanted it to go. But I realized pretty quickly that building a program in that way is kind of a lonely endeavor. I wanted to work alongside another ceramics colleague. I also realized that as my students were graduating with their BFAs and looking for graduate schools, residencies, or other opportunities in our field, they often only had one letter of recommendation from someone in ceramics. And I know that's not a deal breaker by any means for students getting to the next level. But I also knew that an additional recommendation from someone who could speak to the student's work in the context of the field of ceramics would be really valuable. Additionally, I became a little uncomfortable with the idea that the student's feedback and skill set when it came to working with clay was only coming from one source, me. I realized that I wanted to offer my students more perspectives and heighten their awareness of different ways of working and thinking about their work in clay. I also just got tired of not having anyone in the program to turn to when I needed help figuring out a piece of equipment or troubleshooting a glaze or having another set of eyes and hands helping students load a glaze coat, for example. When you're in that situation and something isn't going well and you don't know how to fix it, that's not a great feeling. So even just knowing there is someone there to turn to takes some of the stress off of running a program. The IU Southeast resident artist position consists of three things that I see dovetailing with each other. It's a resident artist position, it's also a teaching position, and it's a part-time ceramics technician position. The position is meant to turn over every year or two so that our students have the opportunity to work with at least a couple of residents during a 4-year degree path. The resident teaches beginning classes in both ceramics and 3D design, and the technician position provides compensation for the equivalent of a third class per semester, as well as an optional class in the summer. The resident artist studio is a medium-sized room with countertops and cabinets, a large studio working table, shelving, a sink, and a locking door that opens to the main studio. The resident also has 24/7 access and materials and firings are supplied. The position is so beneficial to the students. The residents bring valuable insight into the creative environment of the ceramic studio at IU Southeast. When selecting residents for this position, I try to bring in artists with a range of perspectives and approaches to working in clay and other materials. Sometimes I tailor those selections to the interests of a particular set of students, but I'm always thinking about what a resident will bring to the IUS ceramics program that is different than what I bring to it. In this way, I can enhance the learning experiences of our students by incorporating the insights of a particular resident artist. The residents are often in positions to offer mentorship to our advanced students, even if those students might not have had taken a course with a resident. Our residents attend crits, do studio visits, attend gallery openings, and help students in the studio outside of class. Since their studio is in a room that comes off of the main studio, they are keenly aware when a student needs a little nudge or some help in the studio. By having another working professional in the studio, the chances of a strong mentorship relationship increase, and the impacts of that have been felt on many students over the years. The residents also come from a different set of experiences than I've had. For example, they've been through graduate school and the graduate application process more recently than I have. They've also been through different programs and other professional opportunities than I have, and they bring those experiences into the program through critiques and discussions, but also those informal conversations that happen when giving advice to a student. The benefits to the students are so vast. Here are some of them saying it in their own words.
The resident artist program was such a huge benefit to me during my time as a postbac at IUS. If nothing else, just the proximity that the students were able to share with the resident felt very valuable, to see how a successful artist a few years out from where we were at the time, was just like organizing their studio practice, the kinds of things that they were working on or testing out in between bigger projects, getting to listen in real time about the things that they were feeling sure about, versus the kinds of things that they were working on that maybe they weren't feeling so sure about.
It was just really like reassuring to have that visual of like, wow, they're in the next step in their career, and that's where I want to be. And I mean, also just the great people that you get to meet, and all of this extra feedback of different experiences, um, as well as a bunch of grad school information. Some of them just got out of grad school, and you can kind of hear about that firsthand experience that they have.
While I was at IUS, I was able to be taught by three different resident artists. I feel like the greatest benefit of having a resident artist program is that students are able to learn a bigger array of techniques. They're able to have more references. They're able to have more guidance as to what to do post college.
They also get to watch the resident kind of set up a new studio and kind of make their own new community. So that's a great experience to see. Watching their own studio practice can be really inspiring for the students.
The Resident Artist program at IUS gave me a second mentor to help guide me through my BFA and really help me develop my work. It also gave me an example of what a career in academia looks like right out of grad school, as well as help broaden my network in the ceramic field and increase my opportunities that I've had in and outside of undergrad.
I think a couple of the really nice things about the residency program at IUS is that you have access to, an artist who doesn't have the same background as you. They've had different professors, they've had different educational experiences, so they're bringing a fresh perspective into the studio. So that's really helpful for like formal discussions about your work, critiques, and things like that. But also, they've been through the professional steps that you want to go through. They've been to grad school or they've been to residencies. They know what those applications look like. They know what those processes look like.
The artist in residence position at IUS was extremely impactful for me as a postbac student when I was there, because there was someone in the studio who was a handful of years ahead of me in their career, but was close enough to be really relatable. They were there, to critique and bounce ideas off of, and they served as a really realistic example of where I could possibly be in a few years.
The Resident Artist program at IUS was integral to developing my conceptual and technical understanding of ceramic processes. Ceramics is such an expansive field that no single individual could ever hope to encompass the many faces that clay takes on. With such an active resident artist program, I felt well prepared and exposed to the breadth of ceramics applying to and entering grad school. Working alongside the residents after hours really helped my own studio engagement and created lifelong connections. The additional energy, expertise, and help that the residents provided the program really allowed Brian to create unique opportunities and create a well-maintained studio for students.
I feel very fortunate in the fact that I have got to see three new resident artists come in through our program and give new ideas and insight to my work specifically. It's always nice to have a good variety as well. I think that, while one person might be a potter or a functional maker and another person might be a sculptor, it's always nice to be able to compare the feedback that you've gotten over the years
and apply that to your own work. Each resident artist may also bring in new people for you to be interested in. If there is an artist maybe that you haven't heard about and they have connections with them, it's always really nice to be able to connect the dots there and then again apply that to your own work.
This position also provides the residents those sometimes elusive 2 to 3 years teaching experience outside of grad school that so many teaching jobs prefer. The residents teach in ceramics, but also sometimes in foundations. And I know for me, I was asked many times in job interviews, have you taught in foundations? And at the time, I hadn't because I never had the opportunity. And now our residents will have a good answer to that question, but they'll also have a way to expand their range of the student work beyond ceramics. The studio space is one of the most important aspects of the position at IUS. As you all know, ceramics is very heavily dependent on studio equipment. Wheels, kilns, slab rollers, a glaze lab are all things that are dearly missed in the event that an opportunity isn't there in those years just after graduate school. At IUS, in addition to the studio space, we provide materials and firings for the resident to realize their work. I think this is a huge perk of the position, but it's also critical to its success. While what the university won't pay in salary is hopefully augmented by materials, firings, and studio access. In the same way the resident provides mentorship to our students, I also provide mentorship to our residents. I share all of my teaching materials, PowerPoints, syllabi, and whatever experiences I've had over the past 15 years of teaching at the university level to help our residents be the best educators they can be. I'm there to review project ideas if they want, help deal with student issues, help navigate the university system, and anything I can do to help. I just want the residents to succeed and learn as much as they can along the way. I also help our residents navigate the job interview process by sharing insights from the many interviews I've had over the years, even down to a list of questions I've been asked during interviews. I'll even help the resident navigate the process of receiving an offer if they get one and how to negotiate with an offering institution. Some of the benefits of the position to me are that the artist is a source of energy and enthusiasm that I can draw upon when things at school inevitably get me down or turned around. I lean on the residents in those times, and I really appreciate their ability to offer new perspectives when I need it. Each resident that comes through the program brings with them ways of working that they've developed in their time at other universities. Working alongside them, I've been able to learn new things from every resident, and it has made me a better teacher, a better artist, and a better person. This is one aspect of the position that I think I underestimated when I first started it. I've worked with the 8 residents since I've started the position, and the cumulative effect of learning from all of those people has been really incredible. Each has taught me something new about ceramics and art making, teaching, and running a program. Beyond the ceramics program, our residents have impacted the broader IUS Fine Art program by interacting with our BFA students in other areas, helping to install exhibitions in the gallery and having studio visits in other areas of the Fine Art program. Many of those interactions have had a positive impact on the artwork of the other students and the sense of community in the broader Fine Art program. While the resident position has been amazing to have overall, it has not come without its challenges, some of which are being exacerbated by the tough financial situation caused by recent low enrollments. The single biggest worry I have is filling the courses for the resident. While our resident is not technically an adjunct, they are paid at the same rate and they would have the same consequences if one of their classes doesn't fill. So I keep a very close eye on those enrollments in their courses and always work to get students into those courses if enrollments are looking low. I hope to someday get more support from the university to alleviate this worry, for example, maybe some financial support if a class doesn't fill. In addition to the challenge of not filling a course, it is also a challenge getting higher pay for the residents. Our residents get paid the equivalent of teaching 3 courses per semester. They teach 2, and the technician position accounts for the pay of a third each semester. Currently, the pay for those classes is at the rate of what an adjunct is paid, so the pay isn't amazing, and I wish it was higher. At this amount of income, some of the residents have had to pick up side jobs or bartend or something like that. And I know that's a reality for most people coming out of graduate school or in adjunct level positions, but I still wish it wasn't this way. Another challenge relates to the turnover of the position. The position is designed to turn over every year or two, and that's a good thing for the students, but it does take a lot of time and effort to get a new resident up to speed on the particular set of studio equipment, teaching practices in the IU system, keys to the building, the list goes on and on. And moving to a new place and setting up a new studio is a ton of work for the resident too, so there are challenges there as well. Juggling a move at the same time you're getting ready to start a new position is tough. While there are challenges, of course, the benefits far outweigh the challenges. This is evidenced by these testimonials that explain some of the impacts the position has had for our residents.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Desmond, and I was a resident artist at Indiana University Southeast in 2017. My time there was absolutely amazing. I got to make a lot of great work, but it also gave me the skill set and the experience to find a full-time position elsewhere. Now I teach at Oakland Community College in Detroit, Michigan. Really wouldn't have happened without my time at IUS.
The artist in residency at IUS was a really wonderful way for Natalie and I to cut our teeth as educators. I think that's probably the most obvious thing, but it provided me the opportunity to really understand the inner workings of a department and see how to plan for things in the ceramics department, how to organize classes and curriculum different from what we were used to with our graduate teaching positions. It also provided a studio access, a studio space, an individual studio that we shared and used and had amongst the students, which was really wonderful. It was a way for us to make work for the next gigs. And then finally, it gave us a seat at the table, which was really wonderful with the rest of the faculty there. We never felt like we were visiting, although we were. So the opportunity was tremendous, and we look back on it very fondly.
When I think about my time as a resident artist at IUS and how that was valuable for me, I really think about mostly the academic aspect of it in terms of the exposure it gave me to teaching in that setting. Of course, the space and time to work was really valuable as well because I was able to really continue to make my work and continue that investigation. But before that, I had been in a residency where I was able to teach a little bit, but in more of a community arts kind of setting. And outside of graduate school, I had no experience teaching at the collegiate level. So that 1 year was really valuable for me in kind of setting me up for what would ultimately be the next job teaching at a university.
Hi, my name is Sydney Eworth, and I am the Iowa IDEA Visiting Assistant Professor in Ceramics at the University of Iowa. I spent 3 years at Indiana University Southeast as the Resident Artist in Ceramics, Visiting Professor, and Studio Tech. This residency showed me, among many, many things, that it is valuable for students to have a rotating perspective from different artists on their own art. I met with many students, even outside of ceramics, to just chat about and have studio visits about their work. I also learned how to teach within multiple areas, such as 3D foundations, and how to run a functioning productive studio within the studio tech provisions that I worked within. This residency has been extremely influential on my life and my career. I think that speaking with Brian Harper about how the undergrad, postbac, and artist in residence program is meant to be a stepping stone for everyone's next chapter has helped me get into the next position that I am in currently. This has been an incredibly influential part of my life and a great learning experience. And I think that more universities should have programs like this within ceramics or within other areas of their art department.
My name is Lalana Fedorshak, and I am the current resident artist here at IU Southeast. So this position is allowing me to develop a really comprehensive skill set. So I teach ceramics and foundations courses. I'm working on developing my pedagogy and my classroom presence. I also act as a studio technician here, and because the ceramic studio is small and so well organized, keeping things running smoothly is really manageable. I also have the time and space to dedicate to my personal studio practice. So I'm here in my private studio, and having this space integrated into the ceramics area is one of the things that I appreciate most about this position. Brian is such an incredibly supportive colleague. I think he has cultivated enthusiasm and inclusivity, and his philosophy around open source creativity is kind of revolutionary. I think that the resident artist position is an extension of those values, and I am really honored to be a part of it.
So it's hard to quantify the exact impacts each resident has had on our program. I feel like so many of the impacts are in less tangible and unmeasurable things, but I know each resident has made an impact on me personally and professionally. I can see the impacts the residents make on the students, their work, and our creative community. And I don't know how else to say this other than that the resident artist position has become absolutely critical to the IUS ceramics program. I honestly can't imagine the ceramics program now without it. So I'd like to wrap up my talk by saying a few words about how, if you're in a position to do so, how you can do this at your own school. I started with just a small studio and a few classes. Prior to the resident position, those classes were often taught by different people. So the first thing I did was envision those classes as sort of a bundle together. Combined with the studio space and materials and firings, it wasn't hard to start to see the position come to life. I remember some skepticism from others in the university that I would be able to get someone to come to the area and take the position. Knowing that in our field there is often such a gap between graduate school and getting a teaching position, I knew that for better or worse, it wouldn't be hard to get applications. That process for me just starts by announcing it on social media and emailing friends and peers at other institutions, particularly schools that have graduate programs that might have recent students looking for teaching jobs and needing studios. Once you have the classes, studio space, and materials figured out, the next thing that's necessary to think about is just if you have the will to do it. It does take some work to manage, but the benefits far outweigh the work. And I'm always blown away by the number and quality of the applications that come in. The fact that there are so many great applications every time I put a call out, especially considering the pay isn't that great, is a true testament to the vitality of our field. There are so many people that are hungry and deserving of these resident artist positions. I'm just bummed I don't have more than one to offer. So to wrap this up, building the resident artist position has been by far the most impactful and rewarding thing I've done to better the studio and community in the IUS ceramics program. All the new kills and new facilities I've added to the program over the years have been great, but all of that combined hasn't had the impact on the students or myself that the resident position has. And that's the thing with the resident artist position. It goes both ways because I also feel really fortunate to work with the residents. Their presence has made our students better artists and thinkers. It has made me a better artist and educator. And it has been a boon to the creative community in our program. In addition to positively impacting those of us already in the program at IUS Ceramics, it has provided the opportunity for the incoming residents to get valuable teaching experience, have the time and space to develop new work outside of graduate school, and learn the skills and gain the experience necessary to bridge the gap from graduate school to a career in our field. Thank you for your time, and if you'd like to learn more about the IUS resident artist position, you can find more information at claybucket.com/resident artist. Thank you.